Welcome to the BoldSign API tutorial. In this video, I'll guide you through the process of sending a signature request on behalf of another user via BoldSign Java SDK. I'll show you how to request permission from a user, how they can approve it, and how to send a signature request on their behalf. Let's dive in. I am Matthew Wilson, an executive assistant at a sales company. I need to send sales contracts for client signatures on behalf of Kathy Sam, our regional sales manager. Let me walk you through how to do this using the BoldSign API and the Java application. I first need to request that Kathy grant permission to send documents on her behalf. Once she approves, I can send sales contracts using her identity. Make sure you have installed Java version 1.8 or higher. You can install the BoldSign Java SDK using Maven or Gradle. I'll use Maven for this tutorial. Add this dependency to your project's pom.xml file. Next, run mvn clean install in your terminal to install the API client library into your local Maven repository. Since I have already installed the Java SDK, I confirm the setup by running this command, which displays the installed version in my project directory. As you can see, the package is installed and ready to go. To add Kathy's identity as the sender, I navigate to the developer documentation. In the Sender Identities section, I copy the Java code snippets and paste them into my Java file. I update the code. In the API client, I set the API key to connect with BoldSign services. If you haven't created your API key yet, create one in the BoldSign web on the API key page in the API section. The Sender Identities API object is used to manage sender identities. I create the Sender Identities API instance by passing the client to it. In the Create Sender Identity Request object, I update the user details to reflect the one on whose behalf the action is being performed by setting the name and email to Kathy's name and email address. In the notification settings, I enable all notifications so that when a document is sent, viewed, signed, declined, revoked, reassigned, expired, or if authentication fails or reminders are sent, the appropriate email notification will be sent to Kathy on whose behalf these actions are performed. You can change these settings as needed. Next, I pass the notification settings to the Sender Identity Request object. In the Brand ID settings, I update the brand ID to correspond to the brand of the sender. This ensures that the company logo, colors, and other design elements match the sender's identity across emails, notifications, and the signing page. I have already created a brand that matches Kathy's identity. To retrieve the brand ID, I navigate to the BoldSign WebApp, expand the Settings menu, and choose Branding. Next, I click the Context menu and select Use Brand ID to copy it. Then I paste the brand ID here. Here, you can set the redirect URL to redirect to a specific URL once the user has either approved the sender identity request. I remove this so that the user is automatically taken to the acknowledgement page after approving the request. I pass this request to the Sender Identities API to create an identity for Kathy. I run the sample. Let's check whether Kathy's details have been added. I navigate to the BoldSign WebApp and select Sender Identities under the API section. Kathy's details, which I added earlier, are now visible. She receives an approval email prompting her to grant permission for operations to be performed on her behalf. This is the email Kathy receives. When I click Approve Request, it opens the BoldSign approval page where I can review all requested permissions. Once approved, the page redirects to the acknowledgement screen. With approval granted, I can now perform operations such as sending documents, downloading audit logs, revoking access, and more on behalf of Kathy. With that done, I move on to sending the document for signing. I navigate back to the developer documentation for sending documents, copy the Java code snippets, and paste them into my Java file. Next, I update the code. In the API client, I set the API key to connect with the BoldSign services. The Document API object is used to perform operations related to documents, such as sending, retrieving, or managing them. I create the Document API instance by passing the client to it. I begin by adjusting the position of the signature field on the document. Then I update the signer's name and email address, followed by the document file path. Then I update the title of the document. The most critical step in this process is setting the onBehalf of property. This property must contain the email address of the user, Kathy in this case, on whose behalf the document is being sent. I use the email address I added earlier for Kathy. Once all properties are configured, I pass them to the Send Document API to initiate the signature request. I log the document ID in the console to verify whether the document has been created and sent successfully for signing. Finally, I run the sample and the document ID is logged in the console. The document appears in the Behalf Documents section of the BoldSign WebApp under Kathy's account, the user on whose behalf the document was sent. Next, I demonstrate how Stacy Wilson signs the document. Stacy receives an email inviting her to initiate the signing process. Notably, the email shows Kathy's name as the sender rather than mine, Matthew, since the request was made on Kathy's behalf. I proceed to sign the document. After signing, the document is marked as completed. To verify notification flow, I check Kathy's inbox. She receives timely notifications, keeping her informed at every step. And that's it. You've now seen how to request a user's permission, obtain their approval, and send a signature request on their behalf using the BoldSign API. Thank you for watching, and if you found this video helpful, don't forget to follow or subscribe for more BoldSign API tutorials.